beneath the stripes and stars.
Scene 1, Introduction. She was born into slavery in the state of New York. Her parents were slaves, and she escaped in 1828 at the age of 30. Until that moment, she had never experienced any freedom at all. She was owned like the cattle and never treated with any human respect. After her owner broke his promise to free her, she ran off. A daring escape. She didn't know anyone outside of the farm where she lived. She didn't know any place or roads. She just knew that she did not want to be a slave any longer. So off she went, trusting in strength, wits, and courage. Before long, she found her way to a house where the owner did not believe in slavery. It was a free house, and she was helped to go to New York City, where she worked as a paid servant for at least 10 years. She also had free time to spend, and she became involved in evangelical religion and started a street corner preaching career, especially calling for moral reform. Her voice was powerful, and she was a captivating speaker and singer.
I remember the day I was no longer a slave. Nobody set me free. Nobody bought me. I just started walking, never going back. I am now the owner of myself. They kept me pregnant like a brood sow. Roll those black babies, 13 of them. Sometimes they were sold before they could say my name. The master promised I would be set free, but he changed his mind. But I didn't change my mind. I made it to a free house. The master knew he was wrong. He promised me my freedom, but he wanted to sell me. I was gone, and he gave up looking. My skin is dark. I cannot hide that. Somewhere in Africa is my rightful home. I'm a stranger in this land. Who can I trust? Who will trust me? A Negro woman who can't read. I've been down, as low as a person can be. I've been bound and beaten, never allowed to have a face, just a name. I don't think it's me. Hands, arms, legs, genital organs add up to what I'm worth. I will never be a slave again. I will die before that happens. I don't need wealth. I just need freedom. Mark down my words. I will never be a slave again.
Scene 3, becoming an orator and her name change. Eventually, she joined the utopian community where she acquired a wide knowledge of the Bible. In 1840, she went to Massachusetts to work with abolitionists towards eliminating slavery in America. She became a popular platform speaker. She told stories and sang gospel songs that instructed and entertained. She became a wandering orator. Going to hear the orators was a popular form of entertainment at that time. In 1843, she changed her name from Isabel Baumfree to Sojourner Truth.
My name was Isabella. But when I left the house of bondage, I left everything behind. I wasn't going to keep anything of Egypt on me. So I went to the Lord and I asked him to give me a new name. And the Lord gave me Sojourner. Sojourner. Because I was to travel up and down the land, preaching the gospel, showing the people their sins and being a sign unto them. Afterwards, I told the Lord I wanted another name because everybody else had two names. And the Lord gave me Truth because I was to declare the truth to the people.
Scene 5. Sojourner speaks in New York on women's rights. Unfortunately, there were no tape recorders in those days, and Sojourner herself did not write, so we'll have other people's recollections of her words. We do know she was over 6 feet tall and dressed very fashionably when she made her speeches. She was one of the most popular orators and much in demand as a speaker.
May I say a few words? I want to say a few words about this matter. I am for women's rights. I have as much muscle as a man and can do as much work as a man. I have plowed and reaped and husked and chopped and mowed. And can any man do more than that? I have heard much about the sexes being equal. I can carry as much as a man and can eat as much too. I am as strong as any man that is now. As for intellect, all I can say is, if women have a pint and man a quart, why can't she have her little pint full? You need not be afraid to give us our rights for fear we will take too much, or we won't take more than our pint will hold. That twixt the Negroes of the South and the women at the North all talking about rights, the white man will be in a fix pretty soon. But what's all this here talking about? That man over there, he says that women need to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches and to have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me into carriages or over mud puddles or gives me any best place. And ain't I a woman? Look at me. Look at my arm. I have plowed and planted and gathered into barns, and no man could head me. Ain't I a woman? I could work as much and eat as much as a man when I could get it, and bear the lash as well. And ain't I a woman? I have borne 13 children and seen most all sold off to slavery. And when I cried out with my mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me. Ain't I?
We are going home. We've had visions bright of that holy land, that world of light, where the weary saint no more shall roam, but dwell in a happy, peaceful home, where the long dark night of time is past, and the morn of eternity dawns at last, where the brow with sparkling gems is crowned, and the waves of bliss are flowing round. Oh, that beautiful world! Oh,
Sojourner Truth Talks About Women's Rights. Sojourner delivered the short, masterful speech invoking tenets of Christianity and using her strong, imposing presence to debunk anti-feminist speakers.
Then, that man over there in the black, he says women can't have as much rights as men because Christ wasn't a woman. Where did your Christ come from? Where did your Christ come from? From God and a woman. Man had nothing to do with him. Then they talk about this thing in the head. What's this they call it? Intellect. What's that got to do with women's rights or men's rights or Negroes' rights? If the first woman God ever made was strong enough to turn the world upside down all alone, these women together ought to be able to turn it back and get it right side up again. And now that the women are asking to do it, the men better let them. I'm obliged to you for hearing me. And now Sojourner ain't got nothing more to say.
Scene 7, Sojourner talks about women's rights in New York. One of the most popular subjects for orators after the Civil War was equal rights. All people are equal, men and women or any race. Sojourner was in high demand as a speaker on this subject.
We'll have our rights. See if we don't. You can't stop us from them. See if you can. Men are self-centered. A man is so selfish that he has got women's rights and his own too, and yet he won't give women their rights. He keeps them all to himself. We want to carry the point to one particular thing, and that is women's rights. For nobody has any business with a right that belongs to her. I can make use of my own right. I want all women to have the same use of the same right. Do you want it? Then get it. If men had not taken something that did not belong to them, they would not fear. We are trying for liberty that requires no blood, that women shall have their rights, not rights from you. Give them what belongs to them. They ask kindly.
Scene 8, Sojourner talks about slavery. There were not many ex-slaves giving speeches and writing about their experiences. Frederick Douglass and Sojourner Truth were the two of the best known. Harriet Tubman also became a famous speaker about her experiences rescuing slaves for the Underground Railroad. Truth and Tubman met and became friends. They shared an interest in rights for women.
No one has the right to own any other human. Both my parents lived normal lives in Africa, but were captured by armed slave traders and sent here in chains to be sold as laborers in America. They became slaves because they were Negroes. There are many uneducated white people, but they are in no danger of becoming slaves. Why is it just the Negro is the only race enslaved?